What you're currently seeing on my screen right now is pretty much the work I've been doing for the entire week. So I'll just give you guys an idea. And by the way, this is gold, right? This is XAUUSD. So I've been testing a lot of things on gold, and I'll show you what I've been doing over for the past 2 weeks or thereabouts, right? So let's come down here. I think I brought it down around here. Let's see. All right, this is it right here. So basically, I've been testing the set and forget strategy on gold just to see how it plays out, right? I'll give you guys a recap of what really happened over a given period of time, right? So this right here is pretty much the strategy I've been using on this gold. This is what I came up with as the best way to trade gold. Now, if you understand the strategy, you understand that on a daily time frame, you need a daily area of interest, right? And you need time frames in sync, which means you need either all the three time frames in sync, weekly, daily, and 4 hour, and then 1 hour for entries, or daily and 4 hour in the same direction, and then 1 hour for entries, right? In my own case, I just simply use the 1 hour. I don't use the 30 minutes and the 15 minutes just because of false signals, right? So pretty much I try to use the daily to look for daily area of interest, all those good stuff. But gold is way too volatile. I just realized that gold is way too volatile for daily area of interest and all those higher time frames, right? So I just after a lot of testing, I pretty much just keep to the entry time frame because the entry time frame is usually the final part of your analysis, right? Where you actually um, enter the trade, right? After every market have shown you a direction, right? So I decided to also to just run a test on the entry time frame, right? And simply what we look for is just a clean market structure. Let's assuming this market is the bullish market structure. We just need a clean break, just like this, and I need the break to be pretty much as um very strong, right? I don't need the break to be like a double top. I need it to clearly be a break, right? And I need the retracement to at least be deep, right? At least 50% of this break. So I'll explain what I mean. If you're using your Fibonacci, for example, from this high to from this low to this high, if you look at these two black lines right here, this one right here and this one right here, if you notice the retracement is deep enough because we are now reacting from this green line and these two orange lines. So any one of these reaction from this kind of area is also very good, right? And then the final thing which we usually look for is the engulfing. So it's just the entry time frame, just the entry signals on the 1 hour time frame, right, on gold. So it's just a simple break, retest, and engulfing. So I decided to run a test for the period of this 1 year, right? For just one for this year so far, right? So I'll show you guys where the test started from. So as you can see, this is 2026. This is exactly where I started the test from, right? Sometimes the test will go well, sometimes it's not going well. As you can see, the very first trade, by the way, was a loss, right? The second two trades following it were both wins and could have actually printed more than 1:6 or 7 risk reward ratio, right? So let me show you guys something that's opened my eye this week, right? So let's come over to some part of the test where I was working, right? So just stick with me here. I'm going to cover the weekly setups, obviously, right? Because that's what this video is about, right? I'll make a separate video to dedicate um I'll make a separate video dedicating gold, right? Dedicating it to gold. But for now, let me just give you an idea of what you are about to see on that video. So this right here is when market started trending very much bearish, right? And you can see that the EME was pretty much falling. It's like a waterfall. We call this a waterfall, right? The market has been trending very much bearish. Now I've noticed that this strategy or this entry time frame signals, which is the break retest and engulfing, work so much on a very strong trending market or any trending market at all, right? Now watch this. From this point where I had this win, I actually had some few losses before that point, right? As you can see, almost three trades back to back, right? But that's not the point. The point is when I started winning. Watch this. All the trades are targeting 1:2 risk reward ratio, right? At least for the testing. If you look at this trade, this one is actually 1:3, but we'll just assume it's the 1:2. I'm just trying to be very realistic with this now, right? So watch this now. This is one trade, one win, two, three, four, five, 6. So you can see 6 back-to-back wins or 6 win streaks. So something just struck me, but just take a look at this, right? Just take a look at this. Now, assuming I have a $1,000 account, right? And I took this first trade, 1:2 risk reward ratio, right? Assuming I'm risking 100%, right? I'm not saying that this is a good thing to do because it's a high risk thing, but just watch, just follow me here. I'm risking $1,000 on this trade right here. So if I risk $1,000 and I get 1:2 risk reward ratio, my balance, my profit will be $2,000. But remember, my balance of $1,000 is still in my balance because I did not actually lose, right? I did not actually lose the $1,000. So it will be $2,000 in profit and $1,000 as balance, making my equity $3,000. That is the first trade, which is this one right here, right? Okay, so I decided to do a little bit of compounding to see how far it actually goes, right? So this, I will just simply be doing this instead. So just follow me here. It will be the $1,000, assuming that that is the first trade. I'll just do times 3, right? That times 3 just skips all the part of showing you guys what the profit is and what the balance is, right? So instead of making $2,000 in profit plus $1,000, I'll just do times 3 to show you what the equity of the account is at that moment. So just realize that if I do times 3, it's not 1:3 risk reward ratio, it's 1:2 risk reward ratio plus balance, right? So this is the first trade, which will be $1,000 to $3,000. This is second trade. It was actually 1:3, but let's call it 1:2, trying to be very realistic, right? So this is second trade times 3 again, right? Which will keep your balance at $9,000. This is the fourth trade. Sorry, the third trade right here, 1:2 again, right? So let's do that again, times 3. And then the fourth trade, this right here, which will also be 1:2 risk reward ratio, that will be times 3. So from 4 trades, we got $81,000 from risking $1,000, right? But the thing about that is that you need win streaks, right? If any case, in any case where you lose one trade in between that 4 trades, for example, you are simply going to just blow your account, right? So that just got me thinking. I'm just trying to see if you can actually get win streaks. As you can clearly see, this is just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I calculated. But if you look right here, you can see that there's another win here and there's another win. So I'm deciding to add these 2 now. But let's add the third one. Let's add the fourth. All right, no, the fifth one. Let's add the fifth win, for example, right? So this is another times 3. That will keep you at $243,000, which is pretty much like you have changed your life already, right? From 4 wins, risking 100% in $1,000. So that just got me thinking. But one case scenario does not really define anything, right? One case scenario did not really define anything. So I was still running this test again. As you can look right here, if you look right here, you can see that this right here was a win. Ignore this trade. I was actually just using it for the next video I'm going to make, right? Because if you look right here, this is not it's not really a good entry, right? If you look right here, this right here is the break. At the retracement, price actually shifted structure, which means this is a bearish market. And right here, we had a break. If you look closely, we had a break, but the retracement was not, there was no engulfing on this market. There was no engulfing on this market, so price is pretty much bearish. So I would have never really entered this trade. But all this one right here, they had clean break, retest, engulfing. They had clean break, retracements, engulfing right here. Same thing here, break, retracement, engulfing. Same thing, back to back to back. As you can see, break, retracements. As you can see, engulfing right here. Break, retracement, engulfing right here. So this is another streak where I caught, right? And this is recently. So this one right here is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades back to back. In fact, this particular 3 trades right here, I actually traded them live. I did not actually enter. I was still testing them in real time. So these other ones before now, we actually they were actually back testing, right? These 3 right here were forward testing. Now, apart from this last trade that did not really have a very clean break, retest, and engulfing, right? I just decide to. I believe that this market could have start buying from here, right? Because market structure is bullish and we have a very strong, should I call it demand area or support and resistance area right here, EMA. So I just believe that this market could buy. That's why I put this tool here. But this one does not qualify as part of the trades I am calling, right? If you look here, you have a clean break retest engulfing right there, clean break retest engulfing. This one I'll assume is the one is to risk reward ratio trade, right? So these three, well, we'll see how this one cooks next week, right? So I've just been running this thing on gold, and I'm starting to like gold very well. But that is the thing, we don't have daily confluences here. We just only trade the break, retest, and engulfing. So I'll create a video about this one to try and explain them and every single trade. There's also losing streak at some point, right? But um, well, it kind of depends. It depends. Anyway, I'll show you guys what we have. So I'll not be deleting anything on this chart, right? Let's just see future markets for next week, right? So welcome back to another weekly setup, guys. I'll be breaking down all these 20 pairs using the set and forget strategy by fxalexg, and I'll show you what are the best pairs we are willing to trade next week. Coming over to my chart right here, I was actually calling this pair, right? And I'm actually pretty mad because I did not enter this market, right? I will I will attach a video of when I was calling this market for buys last week. So it's a very, very strong area, right? That is the first information we have. Second information is that price is clearly rejecting from that area of interest right here, right? The only problem we have is that prices have not made a clear direction, and we believe that the direction that we expect price to make is to the upside, right? Now, on the 4-hour time frame, what is the game plan that we have? So what will make more sense right here? For us to buy, we need a clear break, and we need the 4-hour time frame. Very important for the 4-hour time frame to actually be trading above this area. Then I'll be very much interested in actually buying from here. All right, so as you have seen from that video, I was actually waiting for a clean break, retest, and engulfing right here, but I was already too occupied with many things I was doing, which number one is that back testing, and number two, I was actually filming a video on this right here. So I'm dropping a video on psychology, right? There's a lot of things I've learned about psychology, and you guys have asked me this question because you guys believe I am a very patient trader, right? So there are other formulas I use and tricks I use to try to help myself, or force myself, in fact, that's the word right there. Force myself to be profitable, or not try my best to sabotage my own trades, right? So I'll be sharing all those details in this video. The video might be live on Wednesday, hopefully, right? So, having said that, let us see what we have for next week. GP card was pretty much the only trade that gave us the opportunity, right, to trade last week, and I missed it, by the way. Another trade that kind of gave us the opportunity, I think, is NZD card. So I'll show you guys what we had there. NZD card, I was also testing that break and retest on NZD card to see how it plays out. Just it was mid, by the way, and he also had losing streaks, whatever. Currency pair might not really be good. Anyway, look at this right here. So we had a clean break right here, a retracement, but the engulfing, I don't know, I didn't like it at all, because this right here were three this right here was the engulfing right here, actually, right? But it engulfed this candle, and if you look closer from when price was retracing, this candle alone, the engulfing is not even strong. It's not stronger than this candle. This candle is stronger than these past three candles. I don't know. Let me come closer to show you guys exactly what I'm explaining. Let me come closer to this right here. So if you look at this candle right here, this is the bullish candle. We are trying to sell. We are looking for reasons on why we should be selling in market. We had a doji right here, which is very good, right? And then we kind of have an engulfing right here. So this qualifies as an engulfing. But if you look at this candle right here, it's too strong compared to this engulfing. This candle is stronger than these three candles combined. I did not see any reason to actually want to enter this market. So plus another reason is mostly because this market has been crazy recently, right? So I'll show you guys what I mean. So this market right here, I think this was how my trade was looking. This market, my take profit was around this level right here. I don't think price hit it. I told you guys I closed last week, actually, but this week, that is insane for a market to trade for 3 weeks and be very close to take profit and then reverse all the way to stop loss in 1 week, right? So that's ridiculous. So I was a little bit skeptical just because of how long the market has been wasting time, right? So in my case, I might just call it a W because I did not really lose in this market, right? As you can see, last week market was bearish and it started shifting structure this week. As you can clearly see from the EME, it's now bullish. So that is that for NZD card. So I'll be deleting everything to see what we have right now. So now we are actually starting, right? We are actually starting. NZD card, daily time frame. Let us see what we have. Okay, so NZD card now currently is bullish on the daily time frame, right? Currently bullish on the daily time frame. The area of interest I can see here, which I believe is solid, is this one right here, right? Okay, now weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is also bullish, right? You can argue if this is bullish or bearish, but I'll still call this bullish because of this higher high and higher low. And by the way, we recently broke structure to the upside, right? As you can see, this is a very strong break. Last week was a very bullish one. Now, 4-hour time frame. Now, 4-hour time frame, as you can see, is also bullish, but for us to be able to buy, we need price to actually come back to area of interest, right? And we need 4 hours to also be bullish, right? I really like the combination of the daily time frame and the 4-hour time frame to be in sync, right? To me, I actually do prefer daily and 4-hour in sync compared to weekly and daily in sync. I know you think that because weekly is a higher time frame to be stronger. Yes, it is, but from my own testing and how I have seen the market play out, most of my trades, the ones that hit, are actually daily and 4-hour in sync. So I prefer to actually just stick to that seriously, right? So I still need 4 hours to come back to area of interest and actually shift structure before we look for the entries to buy NZD card. Now, do I actually believe this might happen this week? Well, anything is possible because GBP card actually was ready only on Friday and it hit final take profit on Friday with a 1:4 risk to reward ratio. So anything is really just possible. But do I think this is going to happen? I do not think so. Right. Next pair we have is USD card. So USD card, I was calling this one for last week. I was waiting for a retracement back into this area to sell. Right. Right now we have finished having the retracement. Last week was the week where we had all the retracements. Right. Daily is bearish. Um, Daily is bearish. Let's see. Weekly is actually bullish, right? Weekly is actually bullish. Okay, and 4 hour is also bullish. So let me draw the area of interest. Let's look at the 4 hour again to see how the area of interest is looking, just to see if we have multiple rejections from those areas. Okay, so this will be our area of interest. Let's call this one rejection, right? Multiple rejections from this area. Not so clean. I don't know why. Not so clean. So, okay, we have 2 rejection right here, 3 and 4 rejections. All right. So I think it's good enough. We have multiple rejections from this area, but the market structure is actually currently bullish, right? And we don't have 2 time frame in sync right now. So for us to have 2 time frame in sync, it means it will have to be a selling trade. I'll explain because weekly is already bullish. Daily is bearish. So we need the daily or the daily and weekly to be in the same direction bias, or daily and 4 hours. So if daily is going to be in the same direction bias, it's going to likely be in the same direction bias with the 4-hour time frame, which simply means we'll need the 4-hour time frame to shift structure bearish for us to be interested. And for that to happen, it means that we'll need price to be trading under this level, right? Which will mean that the 4-hour will actually shift structure bearish, just like this, before we can actually be interested in selling this market, right? We cannot actually buy this market just because we don't have 2 time frame in sync. That is the only reason, but it has a very clean break right here, a retracement to potentially buy. But we don't have 2 time frame in sync, so we'll not be breaking our rules this week, right? That's pretty much it for that. That's that for USD card. GBP card next pair. GP card next pair, the move has already happened and we already missed it. Again, I was calling everything even to this T right here. If you look at that, that is the exact point of take profit. I will show you guys how I call that exact point, right? So So if you go over to the daily time frame, you can just clearly see that that is just the daily structural high. So that is the final take profit, right? Simple and short. So, but for now, we don't really have any entries on this market. So we'll be moving over to the next pair. NZD USD daily time frame. All right, NZD USD. I was also calling NZD USD for last week, and I'll show you guys what happened. So it's very simple. Never got the opportunity, right? We're clearly waiting for a break and retest under here to continue selling, right? It's a counter trend trade setup, so I do expect a buy from this market, but the way market structure was forming on the 4 hour time frame, I believe that the market could actually come all the way down here. That's what, hence, this sell I was calling right here. So we never really even got the opportunity. There was clearly no break under this level, so we never really took a trade. It's just following the plan. It's literally that simple, right? So now let us see what we have on this market. We'll be deleting everything to see what we have. So daily time frame, what is the market structure telling us right now? Now the market structure is clearly telling me that this market structure is clearly bullish right now, right? Area of interest, I'll be using this one instead because it has multiple rejections instead of this one right here. So you might decide to use any of these two. I think there's another one here. I'll show you guys, right? There's one right here. So we have one rejection right here. Two, you can call this three rejection if you wish, right? So I think there are two areas. I'll like for this area to actually come down from, I would like for this area to react and come all the way down to, I would like for price to react from this area and come all the way down to this area for us to buy, right? But if that doesn't happen, we might actually just wait for a break and retest above this area to buy. So let us see. That's just one information on the daily time frame. The weekly time frame. The weekly time frame might actually react to come down this week, right? From what I'm seeing. But let us see what the market structure is telling us. I will argue that this market structure is bullish because I'll be counting this as a structural point. So this will be the lower low. We broke above this high, making this the new higher high and this the higher low, right? 4 hour time frame. All right, so 4 hour time frame seems like it's way more cleaner. If we can let me look at this area again. If you look at the area, the one at the top right here, you can see that the rejections is way more cleaner on the 4 hour time frame. So going over to the left, you can now see that this area market structure is actually bearish on the 4 hour time frame for now, right? So what to make more sense on this market actually is for market to now break this high. As you can see this high right here, we need that high to get broken, and then we need a retracement to continue buying. On the bullish market, we just simply look for buys. It's as easy as that, right? On the bullish market, we simply look for buys. Euro USD, next pair, let us see what we have. Daily time frame is still bullish, obviously, right? You guys were telling me about, because I posted Euro USD for sales last week, as you can see right here. You guys told me about this and told me that I was wrong because I was calling for sales instead of buys, right? Again, I told you guys it was a counter trend trade setup. I was not saying that the market structure was not bullish. All I was saying was that the 4 hour time frame, if you check the 4 hour time frame, is this thing where markets will trend up so much and then start slowing down. As soon as start shifting market and breaking structure to the downside, I'll be more interested in taking a counter trend trade setup for sales instead of buy, right? So that was my thought process behind that. But since market did not actually give us that break that we were looking for, we never really entered the trade. So even if you were right, I was not also wrong because I never lost the trade because of the plan. The plan I was making did not really happen for me to actually take the trade. I don't know if that makes sense. So for now, Euro USD, the market structure has shifted back to bullish, which is very good on the 4 hour time frame, right? And the daily is also bullish. So we do have that 2 time frame in sync. So I do believe that the market will continue bullish this week, right? We just need a cleaner market structure to continue going to the upside, right? So I'll be deleting this one because it is no longer needed. So let's see how the entry time frame will be looking. The entry time frame will be looking more like a inverse left head, right shoulder, right? But I need price to clearly be trading above all these highs, right? Because we are currently at daily area of interest. If you look to the left, you can see that price has actually reacted from this area multiple times, right? I don't need price coming, giving us that break and retest and then reacting just because it's at the highest point. In fact, I'll be withdrawing this area of interest because to me, I need a cleaner market, right? So I'll be using this high instead. So I'll explain this high to you guys now. So, but just stick with me here. So if you notice, I actually increased the height of the area of interest to accommodate this high right here, this high right here. If you look, this high right here as well, this one and this one. Why is that? Because what I just drew was that I need price to have a break and retest. But if you notice, that area of interest is now below. I mean, as in price is now still below that area. If we have the engulfing around this area and we start buying, what are the chances that price is not going to now react off of this area like this? Like example, we bought from here. What are the chances price is not going to react off of this area and start selling to the downside? Do you understand what I mean? So now we just need price to clearly be above this area instead. So this is a much more cleaner market structure. So I need this to happen for me to be interested in buys on Euro USD next week. So that is that for Euro USD. I'll be adding it for this week. I've added USD card already. So Euro GBP. So Euro GBP, I was running a test on Euro GBP too as well. So I started noticing quite a number of losing streaks, as you can see right here, and right here. Right. So that's why I was thinking of removing it from my chart, but I started fine tuning the strategy for currency pairs differently. So it started having some good wins in between. Again, I'll let you guys know exactly what I'm doing. Right, as you can see right here, we started having at least 3 trade winning streak at this point. We had one win here, but we also had 2 losses here. So is a thing. I'm still testing it. Right, I'm still testing it. So I'll let you guys know. Again, it's still a set and forget strategy. I'm not changing anything. I'm just using I'm just testing it in a form of day trading format instead of swing trading format. I don't know if that makes sense, right? So that's that. Anyway, let us see what we have on Euro GBP daily time frame. All right, daily time frame. I genuinely don't think we should be looking for buys. We should be looking for sales on this market. So first, I want to acknowledge this support level. Clearly, price came to this area in February 2nd and bought up strongly. He came here again in March, bought up strongly. Now he came here in May and he started buying strongly. So this might just be a pattern. I'm acknowledging that area first of all. Market structure on this market is currently bearish, which is very good. Weekly time frame is also bearish, also very good, right? Also very good. Now, 4-hour time frame, a lot of people will actually be looking for sales here, which is not really bad to be honest, right? Because this right here is the clean break right here, the retracement, pretty much very slow, right? And maybe an engulfing right here, stop loss above this high. It could actually cook, right? But come on, look at this. You are going to be selling right into a support level that have not been broken for the past, let's see how many days, for the past 92 days, right? So it doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is to wait for price to clearly be trading under that area for us to continue selling, right? So that's what I'll be hoping for next week. Hopefully next week price could actually sell and actually start breaking under this level for me to be interested. But for now, I will not be interested because it doesn't make any sense to me. Next pair, GBP Again, same test I was running on GBP to see what's going on. In a clear trending market to the downside, market actually cooks, right? So that is another thing you need to add to what you know. Just know that on a trending market, a very strong trending market, the set and forget strategy works best on a strong trending market, right? So that's it. That's that for that. So let's see what we have. Daily time frame on this now. GBP again, price is currently around this low, right? Don't expect this low to just get broken, or don't expect it to just hold, right? Wait for price to make a decision, then you follow price to do that decision. So what is the market structure telling us right now? It's telling us that this market structure is currently bearish. Weekly time frame is also bearish, which is good, and the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. Again, I think it's very similar to what we saw on one of these pairs I just finished analyzing. right? I need price to clearly be trading below that area. We could actually sell, but it does not make sense to sell right into an area that's been holding a support. Anytime we came to that area, we are buying, right? You cannot just sell from there and expect it to sell just because you are seeing a market structure. You need it to clearly be below that area to be selling, right? Again, this trade might not really happen next week. I don't believe it will happen next week. So next pair, NZD JPY. All right, so let's delete everything and see a very cleaner market structure. We'll be starting with the daily time frame. Daily time frame, first thing I've noticed is that the market structure is still bearish. First thing I noticed is that market structure just broke these lows, right? I'm not calling this a bearish market, but it's no, okay, it's actually a bearish market. Okay. All right. So we broke these lows, clearly a bearish market. This is now the lower low and this is the lower high. But the cleanest area on this market, to be honest, actually this one right here, right? Just because we have had one rejection here before, as you can see, one rejection here before, another one right here, another one, and three other ones right here. So it will make more sense for price not to come all the way up here for us to reject. I actually believe that the market should just be rejecting like 50% of the way, right? Is a Fibonacci thing, right? Let me show you guys. So we need price to be reacting from any of these levels and not all the way up here, right? Because market could actually just shift structure from there. So it doesn't make more sense. It doesn't make sense to me that price should come all the way here. But I believe market should be reacting from here, but we don't have a clean area of interest within that level, right? I don't know whether you understand my thought process, but it should be selling from here, but we don't have a clean area of interest around that level. So that might be the only reason I might not be interested, except we see a 4-hour area of interest that's clean enough for us to actually be looking for sales around this level, right? So daily time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is still bullish, and let's see the 4-hour time frame. Now 4-hour time frame. Now let's look for that area of interest I talked about to see if we can get any. Okay, so first thing I notice is that these highs, if you look at these highs right here, these highs are triple, should I say triple top, right? Then if you go over to the left, you can see that that area has been respected multiple times. If you just look at this top right here, you can see that there's a lot of decision happening around that level. So I'll just identify that decision first. Just watch this. As you can see, it's now holding as a very clean support or a resistance level, right? So let me draw this all the way to the left to see if it makes more sense. As you can see, we had another rejection from here, right? We had a wick into that area, and if I draw it over to the left, you can see that price is now currently above, which is a good sign, right? Which is a good sign because now we cannot really be interested in buying, in selling when we are still above area. We now need market to shift structure bearish, right? Because the 4-hour is going to shift structure bearish, and once it shifts structure bearish, we need it to be trading under the 4-hour area of interest, and by that time the EMA is really going to be shifting structure bearish. So that will make a lot more sense instead of selling right now, right? So that makes sense. That makes sense. So I'll keep it very close. Not really the best of the best, but it's a clean market. It's not so much of a hideous market. GBP JPY next pair. GBP JPY daily time frame is currently bearish because of this low, or you can argue if it's bullish. Okay, it's still bearish actually. Still bearish. The area of interest we'll be using is this one right here. So price is currently at resistance. It could actually sell. So that is actually a good that's actually a good that's actually a good thing to see when you are trying to sell NZD JPY, right? Because JPY pairs kind of move similar, right? So that's on the daily. All right, the market structure is not too clean for me, right? I don't like this kind of market structure that break high first, break low, and it's now going all the way back to the shifting structure again. So I don't really like this one, so I prefer NZD GPY instead of GP JPY. GP NZD next pair, let's see. Again, it looks like I was calling for a buy here because we are above area of interest at the time, but we never really got the break above because we started breaking below this low and the market started shifting bearish. So this will be the entry for the sales, which is the break retest engulfing right here for the sales, but that was not our bias. Our bias was buy just because this right here was still the higher high and this right here was still the higher low, right? So no entries on that market. So let us see what we have. All right, daily time frame is bearish. What makes sense on a bearish market is the clean retracement just like this to sell, right? If you can get that, that would be good. Let's see if we can get an area to sell from now. So this area, you might argue if it's a clean one or it's not, but this is a very clean rejection, this particular one right here. This one you can argue if it's a clean one or not. You can also argue if this is a clean one or not. So, but there are actually reactions at that area, right? So I do believe that market could actually use this area to sell. Just be aware that this area of interest is not really as strong, but it could actually work out, right? I'm pretty sure it will be very clean on the 4-hour time frame. Look on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that the rejections are way more cleaner, right? So for sales on this market, that's what exactly what makes sense. I'll be paying attention to the 1-hour time frame because I believe that the 1-hour time frame getting back into the area of interest will be bullish, right? If you look right here, bearish, but we actually close under this low right here. If you look at this, let me explain. Let me use the tool to explain this. Lower low, right? Lower high. Let's call this the lower high. If this is the lower low and this is the lower high, we broke under this level, right? As soon as we broke under this level, this will simply make this the new lower low. And because of we have a new lower low, we need a new lower high for that, which will simply be this one right here, right? And because of that, you can now see that price is now clearly breaking above structure, going over to the upside. This is now clearly the higher high, and this is now the higher low. So we need a bearish market to sell, right? This right here we are planning on selling, but the market structure on the entry time frame is still bullish, so we need it to shift bearish for us to sell. I actually want this market to do a little bit more price action, go all the way to the upside, continue bullish, start shifting structure before I'll be interested in selling. That will make a little bit more sense to me, right? GP NZD, let's just keep it close for this week. GPUSD next pair. GPBUSD. Okay, so let us see what we have on this market. Okay, GPBUSD. This market structure is what bullish, right? And this is a daily time frame. Daily is bullish, which is good. Area of interest, well, is arguable, right? And I don't really like using price data that is way too far. This right here, this reaction from this area happened. Let me tell you guys how long it happened. This particular reaction, it happened about, if you look on my screen right here, 287 days. To me, it's way too far. This is where January started, right? This is where January started. That reaction is way too far, but I'm just looking at it. It's a valid area, but I'm just looking at it as a weak area of interest instead, right? So daily time frame bullish, weekly time frame around is around a high again, which is not really a good sign. But let us see what we have. So okay, all right. So this is exactly what the plan for GBP USD will be, right? The high, this high right here that you can see right here is the 4-hour high, right? So for us to be interested, I'll simply be expecting price to react to this area again, hopefully, and have a cleaner break and retest for me to continue buying. So that is exactly what is going to make sense on GBP USD for next week. All right, next pair AUD USD, seems like all these USD pairs are going to the upside, right? So AUD USD, okay, seems like we have a risk reward ratio 2 here. Let us see what is there. Okay, AUD USD is a pair I was calling for buys. So this was supposed to be the entry. I just did not call this because the retracement was not deep enough, right? So that is exactly what I'm talking about in this Fibonacci tool. As you can see, the retracement was not deep enough, but this was still a break, retest, and engulfing. So that's the only reason I not enter this trade, just because the retracement is not good, it's not deep enough. Plus, it actually made sense for the market to buy because it's reacting from previous structure points and EMA is still above. So I just draw the risk reward ratio tool on that one just to see if it hits, right? So I will make a decision about having this retracement deep enough or not, right? So I'm just monitoring that. All right, so let's see what we have. Daily time frame right now. Let's delete everything. All right, we are currently at the highest point. I just will assume that this market will continue bullish, right? But there's no area of interest. As you can see, there's nothing for me to draw above this area because there is no market structure around that area right there. So that is that for AUD/USD. Euro NZD. Let's delete everything that we have. All right, Euro NZD. The area I can see right here is simply going to be this one right here, right? And you know why? Because we reacted from this area like 2 times before. Coming over to the left, we reacted from that area. Same thing here and same thing here. So that's why that area is first of all is very valid. The daily time frame, the daily time frame is actually bearish right now. The weekly time frame, let's see. All right, the weekly time frame is around this area. I don't really like selling very close to a low, right? That is supposed to be like the final take profit target, which simply means that price could actually react of that area. So that is not a good thing. I don't like that, right? 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame currently bullish. What will make sense is that price should come back and start shifting structure bearish for us to be interested. But I'll not be adding this one for this week because I'm trying to avoid that weekly low, right? Next week we'll see how that actually played out, right? Next week we'll see how that played out. I'll not be risking my money on that one. So next pair, Euro AUD. Euro AUD. Which market is this one? Let's look at the daily time frame. Okay, so that is just crazy coincidence because I was just mentioning how this, assuming this is the market I'm selling, for example, where I will be taking my final take profit will be at this structural point, which is this one right here, right? So that's why I was just explaining on Euro NZD on how I don't really like buying at a place that looks like the final take profit target. Maybe that will be the reason for this loss right here. But I didn't actually take this market. I'm not really sure why I did not take it, but this had an entry, as you can see, is a break. The retracement was not really deep enough, but it had the engulfing. So that's pretty much it. Anyway, I cannot remember taking this market. I don't think I took it. But let us see what we have on this market anyways. So let's see. Market structure still bearish. I still believe that this market could actually still continue selling to the downside as soon as we break under this low, have a retracement to continue selling. I'm deciding if to add it for this week. The only reason I'm skeptical is simply because we don't have three rejections. We don't have three rejections, and there's pretty much no very clean price action except to go all the way to 2024, which I don't really like, right? So I do believe that this market will continue selling, but well, we'll decide if to actually enter it, but it's a risky one, by the way, right? The only reason I'm interested in selling is just simply because the momentum of the market has clearly been trading very bearish. It only makes sense that you should look for opportunities on a market that is clearly selling back to back. That shows that Euro has been weak for a very long time and AUD has been strong, right? So you have to just capitalize off of that opportunity. So that is the reason I'm still thinking if I should be in on this market or not, right? So we'll just drop it close. I will decide on it on the Telegram channel. Again, remember to keep in touch with the Telegram channel and the trades I'm about to take live with me, by the way, because I'll always post them live. Just come over to the YouTube channel right here. Look for this link where you see and one more link right here. If you click on it, you can see this interface right here. This ones that say Telegram. You can simply join the Telegram and take the trades if you want to take the trade. There are also other forex traders in the group. You can relate with them, traders around the world that are trading set and forget strategy, right? So that's pretty cool. So let's continue with the market structure. BTC, I have not really been testing a lot of BTC. The only thing I don't like about this is all these weak, very long weeks to the top and to the downside, as you can clearly see. So for now, I'm still looking at it. It's just on my watch list, but there's not a lot of things going on BTC for now, right? All right, AUD card. AUD card. Daily time frame clearly at the highest point. You know what we do. You cannot really. There's not an area of interest. There's nothing to do. Pretty much, it seems like I already missed the trade right from here, which is April 30th or 1st of May. Pretty much. I'm not really sure what I've been doing this last 2 days, or I mean this last week. Anyway, next pair cannot trade that pair because it's at the highest point. So it will not make sense. Next pair we have is Euro GBP. Euro GBP currently is under area of interest. As you can see right here, I believe that this market could actually react off of that area and continue selling to the downside. But I will not be interested in this market because we have a cleaner JPY pair. I think it's NZD JPY to take for this week. Same thing with USD JPY. I believe this market will continue selling, but let us look for a clean area we could sell from. So I'm calling this area of interest as the clean one. We had one rejection from here, somewhat of a two rejection. We had a week into that area. We had a very strong rejection from here. So we do have rejections, clean ones from that area, right? So that is that. Daily time frame is actually bearish. 4-hour time frame is also bearish, but this is what will make more sense for me to sell this market, right? Even if we had seen like an engulfing right here, because this will just simply be the break, right? The retracement, and this will simply be the engulfing. But I don't like when price is now breaking highs, right? If you look at this, price actually broke this high. So I need price to actually at least break this trend line to continue selling, right? So that will if it happens on the 1-hour time frame, I'll be interested in taking USD JPY for next week. So I'll also keep this one close. GBP CHF. GBP CHF, from just first impression, I just believe that the market will continue selling, right? I think the market is building up for very strong sales. So let us analyze and see. Let's see. Strong area of interest. Price is currently under that area of interest. Not so much of a clean price action because daily is still bullish. But 4-hour, well, 4-hour is bearish, or actually even bullish, by the way. So we need like a break under this low to sell actually. So that is what will make more sense on this market. So we need market to be under this low to sell. So we need like a break and retest under this low. I think I should keep this trade very close to monitor for next week. I just want to see how it goes. CAD JPY, I should expect sales on this market, as you can clearly see. Break right here. We expect a retracement, something like this, to continue selling. Let's see if we can have a daily area of interest. As you can see, we have reactions from current market price. To me, the area of interest is just 2, right? As you can see, to me, I'll just call this a 1 rejection, 2 rejection. This one, you can categorize it as a rejection if you want, but I'll not really be calling it. I don't know why. but it's just a personal thing anyways. But you could actually say it's not a bad market at all. It's not a bad market. Let's look at how the forward looks. All right, if I actually get the opportunity on GPY, I'll actually be selling the market. Okay, no, this market is a clean market. It's a clean one. It's a clean one. It's a clean one. I'll be interested in selling GPY this week. I'll be interested. All right, so that's pretty much it. I will make a shorter version about this video to kind of explain. As for gold, I still believe that well, gold is technically bearish. Kind of looks bearish right now, but it doesn't really, you know, you might actually sell, you might buy. Depending on how markets open, we'll know what to do next on gold. But since we are already stuck on this trade, right, I'll wait for the final result on this one. So that's pretty much it. I will make a shorter version of this video to kind of explain this market again, right? And thank you to the guys who actually watched the longer version of these setups. Everything that I'm learning, I'll use to drop them here on the longer version, right? If people are not they are too lazy to watch the longer version, well, they can just watch the shorter version. The shorter version just simply contains only the pair I'm going to be trading next week, no other additional information, nothing new, right? But the longer version contains everything. So congratulations for you guys who are actually watching the longer version. That's very good. Subscribe to the channel, by the way. It's very free. We just crossed 1,000 subscribers. I'm very happy about that. And I'll see you guys on the next week's setups.